Geo74, Frankie 53. Oh, it was a bad week for you last week, Frankie.
We called it, didn't we? I said
Yeah.
there was a bad week incoming because I hadn't made any changes for a while. So, but like I say, it'll all come good in the end.
It's triggered you, though.
No. All part of the strategy.
I have to say, every week you have been saying, I'm saving up my transfers and saving up my transfers. So we're going to get straight into your team. Is it wild card or is it just loads of free transfers that you've done?
So it's wild card.
Right.
It's wild card with a bench boost and still free transfers in the bank for next week.
Right, here we go. Here's Frankie's team going into this weekend. You've copied my goalkeepers, Frankie. You've got Henderson and Flecken.
I have, if I'm honest, my first draft had Rodgers, Semenyo, and your goalkeepers in it. And then I thought, I'm going to have to go a little bit different from Gio. Otherwise, it's literally copycat. So I've gone for a bit of a curveball. I've mixed it right up. And Nketiah has scored his first goal for Palace. So I've drafted him in the front line. I mean, he's really there to allow me to get Saka and Diaz in. I just think Arsenal's run, you can't ignore it. So I had to get Saka in. I wanted Caliafori in there as well. Didn't want to get rid of Trent, so Trent stays. The Fulham boys, I think Fulham are doing all right, so I'm still happy with them. There may be a change, though, next week to draft in another one of your boys, Solanke, but I didn't want him for this week. So the one that I was really unsure on was Ollie Watkins. Playing Ipswich this weekend, he just seemed like I wanted to try and last him out for one more week before I made a change with him.
I think you've done the right call when you sent your team through. It makes sense. Obviously, I'm going to agree with the goalkeepers. Palace and Brentford, usually one of them got a good fixture and you can switch between the two. So you've always got a good goalkeeper in goal, likely to get plenty of saves in the game, even when they keep clean sheets, are likely to be busy. Your defence, I think Calafiori is a really good pick because I think he's a great defender, but he's also a really good attacker as well. The goal against Man City was one of quality, and it's something that you see in Italy as well, where he was not just his goals, but he got a decent amount of assists as well. So you've actually got, while he's a centre-back, he's not going to be playing like one. And all you have to do is just look at the success of Ben White under Arteta at right-back, where he'd often pop up with an assist. So I think that's a really good pick, and he's a threat at set pieces. Not something you can say for Ben White. But I think Calafiori is you've seen him during the Euros. He's got on the end of a lot of set pieces for Italy. So that's a good pick. Robinson makes sense. Trent, you have to have. Moving into midfield, Saka. I agree with Arsenal's fixtures. He's not quite done it yet for me this season, Saka. No. I think he's been a little bit quiet. Smith Rowe makes sense because given his price, he's really good value. He might go. I think he'll go quiet for a few weeks. I think there'll be a few weeks where he doesn't return anything, but I think he's one of those, a bit like my version of Semenyo and Rodgers. He's worth keeping because of his price tag. Now, the one I actually really like, I think Luis Diaz makes sense. If you can't get Salah, Luis Diaz is a must-have. That makes sense. But Brennan Johnson is the pick that I have to say I love that pick. 3 goals in 3 now in all competitions, but was getting heavily criticised by Spurs fans, ended up sort of deactivating his social media, and he's come back, scored a winner, and then gone on to score a couple of other goals as well. So he's possibly one of the most informed players in the Premier League that you've got in your team there. And Tottenham have got some really nice fixtures coming up. So that's Odegaard's injured. That's a big tick, Frankie. I think you're maybe ahead of the curve on this one. If he does well this weekend, I think there's going to be a rush to try and get Brennan Johnson into your team. So I think that's a big yes for me.
We've got a geo tick. I love that.
Yeah, you've got a big geo tick on it. Calafiori is a yes as well. But the Brennan Johnson one, I like calls like this where maybe it's not the most popular one, but it could be the most popular one. Give it a couple of weeks. That's an impressive transfer in for me. Your attack makes sense. Mateta's not doing it for Crystal Palace. So Nketiah may find himself as a striker. He's sort of, I've seen a bit of Palace. He's almost been like a number 10.
Yeah, that's right.
But because Mateta's not firing, and I think Sarr looked really good against Man U. So my prediction for Palace this weekend is Nketiah will be up front and Eze and Sarr will be behind him. And I think he might bench Mateta. So I think you've got a really clever pick there as well, to be honest with you, Frankie. And your bench is just, Dibling's a really good call. It's got his goal, looked fantastic against Man U. 4.5 million, is he? 4.5 million?
Yeah, he is. And you can't go wrong with someone who starts every single game. He's an attacking player. He's always going to be there and thereabouts in anything that they do from an attacking perspective. It makes sense for that money. For a player that you can switch in and out on your bench at that price tag, just got to have him.
And he's not too expensive in the sense that you don't have to play him. He's easy to put on the bench.
So, yeah, but if you've got a team, you've got players and you think, oh, they've got Man City this week, and you've got to sub him on and he's got an average fixture against an Everton or whoever it may be, then he's a really decent little pick. He's already got a few points himself. So, yeah, I think he's an ideal one to sort of just switch in and out from week to week.
Now, my team going into the weekend, I've not changed it. I'm struggling a little bit. I've still got my broken Pedro in there. And now I've got broken Mosquera in there. He's out for quite some time. We're not going to be seeing him till next year. Pedro got played down a little bit by Hurstler. He tried to suggest he doesn't know when he's back, but it shouldn't be too long. I think you'll see him after the international break, though. So I think he's going to miss the next 2 games. So I need to get him out of the team. Because at the minute, I've essentially got one striker. No Delap's there, but he ain't going to be doing anything against Villa, I don't think. So I need to fix it. But I just got no money in the bank. And I'm struggling a little bit to navigate my way without pulling Salah out of the team. I've just built my team to get Salah in the bloody thing. And I know what's going to happen. If I take him out, he's going to hit a hat-trick. So, but how about, because I've been deliberating, as Frankie alluded to earlier, Solanke is my pick. I want Solanke. Got a goal last night against Karabag. Missed a couple of good chances as well. But I like strike. They're missing big strike. Strikers miss big chances. I'm not too bothered because it means they're getting big chances. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
it's
not
like in the right place, and eventually,
it's not like the West Ham striker currently. They're just not getting any chances, right? So they're scoring the same amount of goals, but one of them's getting opportunities, the other one's not. I think if you buy the one that is, eventually you're going to return. But so I'm going to have to free up funds. So I'm looking at Eze, maybe get Eze out of there. And there's this midfielder I'm debating, right? And you're going to laugh. But what if I told you, out of 303 midfielders for the season so far, he's 11th for points per match, and he's 5th for form. And he's only selected by 2.8% of players. And his price was 5.4 million. Would you be thinking that's all right? That's
yeah, it sounds pretty decent.
Dwight McNeil.
Yeah, I've looked at him. I've looked at him myself. I have looked at him myself.
Mate, played number 10.
Yeah.
Isn't it number 10, though?
He was on my list when I was trying to work out how I could fit in Luis Diaz and keep my front free. He was certainly the person who was an option. So, yeah, no, I get it completely.
And I know people are sniggering right now, but his fixtures... Palace at home, Newcastle at home, Ipswich away, Fulham at home, Southampton away, West Ham away, Brentford at home, Man U away, Wolves at home. Granted, it's then Liverpool and Arsenal, but you're into December. So for the next 2 months, he's actually got a really nice run of fixtures there, McNeil. Playing number 10. He's firing shots off like there's no tomorrow at the minute. I think he had 5 efforts in his last game, scored against Aston Villa, usually popping up with set pieces as well. And I know Everton are a bit of a laughing stock at the minute, but they've started to score a couple of goals in recent games. The problem is defensively, but offensively, they are grabbing some goals, and he's quite pivotal. And I do like Ndai. I think he's a good signing for them. But I think Dwight McNeil might be the one that starts clocking up the goals and assists. So I'm genuinely debating bringing in Dwight McNeil. What's the world come to?
I think there's a lot of sense behind it. I really do. I think... he's guaranteed to be in that starting lineup. You know that he's allowed to roam a bit free at the moment and support the attack as much as possible. So, like you say, he's not afraid to have a shot. He'll have a shot from anywhere. So, yeah, I think I totally get it. The only reason he didn't go in my team was because of what you said, Everton being Everton at the moment. If it wasn't for that, then he would have been a real consideration for me. I'm pretty sure he actually came into my team at one point. A lot of people have while I'm doing my wildcard drafts, but he was someone who got put in and taken out again. So, no, fully understand it, mate.
Was there anyone that you've left out and you sort of half regret leaving out, or you're a bit worried about leaving out?
I mean, that was going to happen with Watkins, but I just thought one more week. Against Ipswich, I just thought you just can't take him out at the minute, so he had to stay in there. The one that I've left out at the moment, but it's not a regret, it's really down to the fixtures, is Dalot for Man United. He's getting points left, right and centre at the moment, so he's someone that will potentially find his way in the side later down the line. Calafori's another one, though, not picked by many at all at the moment.
No, I think he's a good pick. Were you cursing me last week when Jackson hit a brace after I sat here saying?
I might have been stewing a little bit, Gia. I've got to say, I really fancied, as you know, I said that I thought Chelsea players were being overlooked.
I think I was still proven right, though, even though, because it wasn't Jackson I was anti, it was the midfielders. However, I would argue that considering Cole Palmer got hooked just after the hour mark, Jackson came off on a hat trick. I think it goes. There is that rotation risk is still there with Chelsea.
Yeah, and we know that the squad's big. Like you say, they're not to take a player off on a hat trick who's probably just desperate for as much confidence as possible. You know what strikers are like; they need and thrive on confidence. But him especially needs that little boost and just belief that he can do it at the top level. So the fact he's on a hat trick and then they pull him off is a bit surprising, really. So it shows that he's quite ruthless and prepared to make decisions like that. So. Yeah, still a risk with Chelsea, but I still think there are points to be had there. I always felt that. And well, I said to you, the one that I didn't fancy was Madueke. Madueke was the one that I was like, no, he's...
I think in Kunku would maybe be a gamble for people. Got a hat-trick midweek. I know it was against... Was it Sutton United? It was a really low league team. But hat-trick's a hat-trick in football. It's still confidence and momentum, regardless of who you play.
Yeah, something for Gio here. What's your thoughts on Chiesa after watching him the other night? And
no, not for me.
No,
I'm not. I didn't think he was that good against us. But the problem is his sort of where he played is right wing, right? That's where he played against us. So effectively, he's maybe back up to Salah. So that's a negative already. And then you look at the other attackers, and Jota's in good nick. Diaz is incredible form. Gakpo's in really good form. And then you've got Nunez as well. So if you took the attacking midfielders of Liverpool as a bundle, you've got Gakpo, Diaz, Jota, Nunez, Salah, and then Chiesa. So I think he's like 6th in the pecking order at the minute. I think he's got some way to go before he gets a decent amount of game time. He's a big no for me personally. I think it'll be the Salah show at Anfield for quite some time. And then, Diaz is just the most informed player in the Premier League in the last couple of weeks, really, isn't he? I think he's been absolutely fantastic. So
yeah, Liverpool fans have all said to me, Diaz, and the one that they all are really banging on about at the moment, not from an FPL perspective because he'll never get points, but Gravenberch.
Yeah.
He's the unsung hero.
He is. He's the player that was at Ajax, really. That's the player that was there before he went to the Bundesliga, and his career stalled a little bit. But he's gone in there and he's playing sort of defensive midfield behind McAllister and Szoboszlai. So, like you said, not for a fantasy league, but he's putting in some good performances and he's become an important player for Arne Slot pretty quickly, actually. So I'm in agreement with those Liverpool fans. I think he's been impressive.
Yeah, so. It's hard with Liverpool because, like you said, there's just so many options. Gakpo scoring again the other night, but would you put him in? I think it's a difficult call to put him in. He's just not going to, start enough games. It's a tricky one. But Luis Diaz, for me, he literally came off the back of a chat with my friend who's a really good Liverpool supporter. He's been up there and he went to Milan the other day and watched him, and he was just like, Diaz is the man. If you're going to have any, he prefers him over Salah at the moment. He feels like Diaz is their biggest threat. But it's hard, isn't it? You then saw Salah the other night, he only needs a sniff, doesn't he? Against us, he literally didn't need much. And that once Fabianski made that first save, and I thought, what a save that was. It rebounded out. I thought, oh, we're all right here. We've survived this. And then he just pops it straight.
It's a fantastic finish, isn't it? It looks easy, but it's not. It's like come at him from quite close distance, and he's able to control it and ping it back with quite some power on it as well. But I was pleased to see him rested, if you like, from an FPL perspective. The only problem is, since I brought him in, the bugger hasn't done anything. He got an assist last weekend. Whoop-de-doo. Mate, I brought you in for goals, not for assists. I brought you in for... I'm disappointed if you only score once. Never mind not scoring. I need to see a brace every weekend to justify my decision-making earlier on. And had I got some value out of Salah, and then he'd gone on I say a drive on, it's 2 games, but that's a drive on for players like Salah and Haaland. But I'd possibly get rid of him this weekend and get Diaz in and use the money to go get rid of Pedro and bring in probably Solanke. But because I'm not had my returns yet, I feel like I need to justify my wild card. So I've got to wait this out. So it's proven difficult, actually, in terms of how to get away from Pedro and get someone else in. But Solanke is a striker I really want. I really want Solanke. And my second choice, who's more expensive, so I won't be going to him, is Kai Havertz. I think Arsenal's run's really good. Jesus looks crap at the minute, so that's good for Havertz playing as the striker. I think I'll make a prediction, maybe not next week, but the coming out of the international break, I think one player we're going to be discussing is Raheem Sterling. I do. I think Martinelli is the man at the minute. He's not doing it, Martinelli. Sterling got a couple of goals, granted, against Bolton, but I still think Sterling's a top player. I've always been a huge fan of Sterling. It didn't work at Chelsea, so what? Havertz didn't work at Chelsea. Now look at him. I think Sterling can get in that team. I think he can make that left-sided attack of Arsenal his own. I think that shirt's up for grabs. So I wouldn't be surprised, Frankie. Prediction, I think your Brennan Johnson's going to come good, and I think we're going to be discussing Raheem Sterling in a future episode.
Don't like the man. Never have done. Don't rate him. Don't like him. Watched him a lot at Chelsea because my biggest client within my company is a Chelsea fan. So he spoke a lot about Raheem Sterling when we have chats about football. He really can't stand him. But you're right. You know, again, he's another one of those players. He played the other night. All right. It's a League Cup game against Bolton. It's a very different story to a Premier League match, but he's still right place, right time, got his goal. There's a lot to be said for that. He's experienced. He knows how to do it. So I don't know. I wouldn't be even having him anywhere near my radar right now. But yeah,
I'm not either. I need game time. I need to see him getting minutes before I go near him. But I just think he'll start racking up a few goals and assists for Arsenal. That's my my wild prediction for the Fantasy League.
I did struggle, mate. Other than, like you say, Solanke, pulling Nketiah out, which is I'm not 100% convinced I've made a good decision there, but to get Diaz in, that it was my only option. So
I believe you didn't get Chris Wood.
Well, and then this is what I'm saying, but there were so many other Premier League strikers that I'm just so not convinced by right now. And I think Havertz is a one that makes sense because I think the way Arsenal are playing and the run that they've got. But aside from that, even like I've had Gordon and Isak all season thinking they are going to be great, and they've just not done it.
Yeah, I'm the same with Evan Nielsen at Bournemouth. I'm waiting for him to be good. Like,
he's one of them players. I watch him, and every time I watch him, I think, oh, he looks exciting.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm like.
Looks good, but never gets any returns out of it.
Nothing. So I'm exactly the same with Evan Nielsen. Calvert-Lewin's got some returns, but you don't trust Everton, but you definitely do not trust Calvert-Lewin. Fulham, you ain't picking Jimenez, even though he's in the team at the minute. Cunha's doing all right for Wolves, but they just feel vulnerable. Wolves do. I think they're a ticking time bomb at the minute. I think they're maybe one or two bad results away from calls for Gary O'Neill to get sacked or something. It's a funny club. They've been linked to, kid you not, Wolves are genuinely debating signing either James Tompkins or Paul Dummett.
Right.
Because they've got no centre-backs. Mosquera's out for the season now, so they're really struggling defensively. Craig Dawson's their fit senior centre-back. So they're possibly a way to they're debating bringing in a free agent. It's October next week. What a horrific position to be in. So Wolves are they're a bit scary for me. So I'm staying away from those from them at the minute. But anyway, shall we leave it there, my friend?
Yeah, we should leave it there. I'm looking forward to it. I need a big turnaround this week, so hopefully the wild card gets me what I need.
I've got nothing but green arrows on my league
Nice.
in the last week, so I need a bit of that. There's one league I'm in. I'm 5th at the minute, and I want to win it. So we've got our own league. You'll be a bit late joining, but we only started a couple of weeks ago, so you've still got a chance. There's a prize for the winner of the league at the end of the season. The code is on your screen at the minute. It is DQ0E52. Get that inserted into the Fantasy League, and you can join the Gio and Frankie YouTube League. And just like I said, there's a prize at the end of the season. But that's it for me, Frankie. Let us know your teams below. We will be back next week, and the following week is international break. So we're going to do a little bit of a Q&A, a little bit of interacting with you guys that watch this video as well. So if you've got any questions or anything, even just comments, i.e., I think this player's a good player to get them in your head. We'll take them all off there, and then we're going to do an episode where we're discussing what the subscribers think about Fantasy League. We'll catch you then.